Hey YouTube, it's not really that good a day. Not been a good week this week. My car blew up, so I'm having to sell off some of my own guitars. It's like, oh no. But I mean, to be fair, I don't. These are ones I don't really get around to playing very often. Um, so I put a list. There's a list on Facebook Marketplace. On Marketplace, where I'm selling 6 guitars, an amp, and a synthesizer. So if I do them in order, the first one I'm selling is this one, which I had for sale before. Anyway, you've seen a video for this if you look back about a week. A 3 pickup Epiphone SG in very, very good condition in a lovely white colour. I put a third pickup in it and it's got 3 volume controls, and this one's a push pull, so when you pull it up without greasy fingers, it reverses the phase of it. This is the volume control for the middle pickup, so you get volume. These 3 are, well, that's a master tone. So that's that one. This guitar I've got around my neck about a good few years ago when I started messing about. Before I realised I could buy like cheap Japanese guitars and stuff like that, I made the ones that I wanted, and I wanted a Fender 6. So I made one. So it's a 30-inch scale. So this would be like I assume Japanese, maybe Korean jazz bass, short scale jazz bass neck, I suppose. I bunged up the holes, the 4 tuner hole pegs in the top with a drumstick chopped up and glued in, and then I drilled 6 guitar tuner holes, and I painted the headstock black because you could see where the drumsticks were. You can only, if you look on the back, you can only see one. But yep, the body is from a Squier Showmaster, I think it was. And it's not actually, but it looks black, but it's like black sparkly if you get the light hitting off it. It's like a sort of iridescency thing. It's got a Dualsonic 50s vibe scratch plate on it, which is metal, anodized. This I bought from Fender, this switch set, which is from a Jaguar, a Jazzmaster, or whatever that guitar is. So there's 3 on switches, 1 for each pickup. There was already a hole there for one, it was a Dualsonic, so I put a switch in there which turns the rail humbucker that's in the neck into a single coil. The bridge pickup was actually a P90 in a thingy case. So I don't know, technically it is a P90, I think. It's got a Telecaster bridge, volume tone, an output on the front. It's also got an output on the bottom if you want to use that. I just left them both connected up. Yeah, so I had it as a Fender 6, and then I built another Fender 6. So what I did with this was I changed it into a baritone, and the difference being this is tuned B, so it's just standard tuning but down to B, so it's B, E, A, D, F sharp, E, so all your chords are still there. The main difference with this and the Fender 6, this Fender 6 you can't play chords on it because the strings are too fat, so it's like trying to play chords on a bass. Actually, if you compare this to an actual Fender 6, it's got a much wider neck here, so the strings are less close together, so it's much easier to play. This has got really old strings on it, by the way, so I've got the tremolo on and the reverb on just to try and make it sound sort of cowboy. Never used tremolo, I don't know if I like it. Just really trying to work out some spaghetti western stuff. Well, I'm going to say I'm selling this anyway because I never need it, and obviously it's a Malco, so very rare. I think there's maybe 6 guitars. I think I got 6 stickers that I've actually got Malco written on the headstock. Even though I didn't actually make it technically, I did assemble it into bits. It's not perfect. I put the bridge on in the wrong place at one point, so there's 6 extra holes you can see there, and it's the same on the back. There's sort of, I suppose you could fill them in, paint them black if you really wanted to. The bridge, it's all lining up perfectly and it's all perfectly intoned, but as you can see, you're not going to be able to see it in this. This bridge isn't on centred because I wanted to try and fill in the hole where the tremolo block for this guitar would have been originally. I couldn't put it in because the guitar should be there, so you had to extend the scale. So actually the saddles are all moved this way, so the saddles aren't sitting in the middle. The pickup's centred and the saddles are centred, but the actual plate that it's sitting on is sitting a little bit like that. Not much, only a wee bit. I was just trying to fill in the gap where the tremolo thing was. Yeah. So turn on the Rat pedal because that's what I always use. But it sounds amazing when you play open chords on it because it just gives you an open B, so that's a B. If you play what I would class as a D, I very rarely ever use any other types of tunings. This would sound much better with decent strings on. These have been on it for a couple of years and they're all rusty. Very pretty guitar, and I just never really found a use for it. I think maybe if you were actually, maybe, I don't know, if you maybe used it for metal or something, I don't know. You know, maybe, I don't know if you down tune it further or something, or maybe use some sort of crazy effects pedals, I don't know. Might be really good for like one of your shoegazy, you know, I've got all my effects pedals on type things. Right, so that's the first two. I shall go and see if I can find the next two, if I can remember what order they come in. Back 2 secs. Take that with me. I can't remember what order the advert put them in, but there's the Blue West Tone, which again, I don't want to sell any of these, but this is, if you look at the pictures, it's blue and it's got a blue fretboard, and it's a fantastic guitar. It's got the most amazing Strat neck on it. It's amazing. It's kind of almost, it is worth what I'm asking for it, just to get the blue neck and stick it on your, you know, your Japanese Fender Strat or whatever it is, because that's what it is. It's a Japanese, you know, it's that quality level. It's great, and this is an Aria Pro, which it is actually very similar to that. It's the HSS layout, and this is a 1986 made in Matsumoku as well, and it's Mega Metal series, which are quite rare. There is a video of this I did a good while ago. I'm not even going to bother trying to plug it in. So this hasn't been tuned in a year, so if it's still in tune, then I'll just add some money onto it. Well, that's the good thing with Floyd Roses, isn't it? So when I say in tune, I'm obviously meaning kind of in tune as opposed to being actually in tune. Well, there you go. So I mean, this doesn't go out of tune even if you keep it in the attic for a year. What a tremolo! Right, what I was trying to remember was what I'd converted these switches to do, because when I first got it, I had a kill switch. One of the switches was a kill switch, and I assumed it had been added later, but I've since found out that it was actually meant to be a kill switch. So instead, what I think it is one of them's a coil split. Like that one. So, a humbucker. Single coil. I mean, this one would originally have been a phase switch for the middle pickup, so it's still what it is. So this says Mega Metal on it, but really it's more of a Strat. Yeah, so I'm going to put this away before I change my mind and sell it. Basically, as soon as I get enough money for a car, all these adverts are getting, the adverts getting pulled, and I'm keeping whatever's left because I don't want to get rid of any of these. But this is a stunning guitar. It's the same shape as the RS series Arias, and if you look them up, you see quite a lot of them. There's one called a Cat. The Cat series, which are still this shape, but they're made in Korea and are not as good as the actual Japanese one. So this is a Matsumoto built 1986 Japanese guitar, and you know how much I love my Japanese guitars. I just feel some of these, this one in the West Tone, it's the shape isn't, it's not what I'm after. I've been using this one here, and things like that are more interesting to me than this. This is interesting, but it's not that extreme. It's just sort of a bit melty. Very pretty though. I don't actually like black guitars either, but I mean, this is a nice one. Yeah, so most of these will have Elixir strings on them as well, but there'll be Elixir strings that are a couple of years old. So do what you want with that. Right, so that's the next two, the West Tone, the Matsumoto collection. Guitars that I shouldn't be selling, I should be collecting them. And if you've got like Fenders and Gibsons and things, and you're thinking, oh, it's like spending thousands of pounds on a guitar, check out these because they're the same quality, or if not better. It's just because they're Hackett shapes. There's definitely a family resemblance in the shape. Not quite the same, but same factory, same designer. Might even be the same bridge pickup. This one has got an Act 3 Floyd Rose license trim, and this has got a Bend Master on it though. Right. And the last two. This is mental. This is a Badger. It says on the top, and this is the serial number on it is 58. So I reckon this is the 58th one ever built. So this will be a collector in the future, I would imagine. I got this guitar in a trade, and I traded it for a Strat, lots of switches in it. So this has been sitting for a while, not been plugged in. If there's any point in plugging it in, I'll do it anyway. Talk while I'm tuning. F? Really? Yeah, so I actually remember taking this into the studio like a year ago in my pal Ivor, and I performed admirably. Yeah, so my thoughts on it, I was going to put, sitting there with humbuckers up here, yes, I'll put a coil split in, but that comes as standard. I think these were just... These strings are rusty. But this is a very well designed guitar. I think it was done by Trevor Wilkinson. And it's when you get a guitar that's been designed by someone who knows what they're doing. And okay, it's got a crazy shape. I think it's more common to get it the other way around, like white with a black scratch plate, white pickups. But also more common to get it that way around, because that's the correct way around, whereas this is an upside down bodied variant. But it's got really high power, really good pickups. They're coil split. The neck on it is lovely, gloss finish, none of your satin sandy shite. Good solid rosewood fingerboard. the good tuners. It's basically a well-designed guitar. The reason I'm selling it is because I need money for a car, but also I don't think they're that rare as they are. Although in saying that, when I got this one, I looked it up and they'd been on backlog from the catalogue. It's like Gear for Music or something sells them. They're about 150 quid, and for that it's nuts. I mean, it's miles better than. I don't even have to do. Didn't have to do any setting up on it. I think whoever it was bought this new, maybe bought it, didn't like it. But I think this is a stunning guitar, and I would, if you don't buy this one, I would recommend you bought one anyway if you fancy the sort of the shape of it, because I think it's amazing. Right, so then the last guitar is another one that it pains my heart to sell, but I just don't play it. This is the first time I went to China. I ordered my June Telecaster direct from the factory. When I got this one, it was absolutely stinking because it'd just been painted. So they waited. It hadn't been assembled when I ordered it, and then they assembled it and sent it to me, and I had to leave it for a few days to make it stop smelling of varnish. Doesn't even need tuned. Again, this hasn't been played in a year. This one's probably got have Elixir strings on it as well, but they've been up in the cold attic for ages. This one was in a gig bag actually. So when it's cold, does metal contract then? I imagine it's about snapping in the strings, that's always good. Yeah, so as I said, I got this direct from the factory. You can still get this very guitar on AliExpress, and it'll probably cost you about, I think it's about 160 odd quid, excluding, that's with the guitar and postage, and excluding the import fees that you have to pay on it. So you're probably talking about just shy of 200 for it. And you've got to wait for it, and you've got to wonder if it's going to arrive in one piece or broken, and are you going to get a good one? Because I've seen a lot of Chinese Telecasters and Les Pauls and stuff, and they are pish. They are not real guitars. It's like a toy that looks like a guitar. Because I bought this when I was in China, if it hadn't been amazing, I would have sent it back, and the factory would have known that, so they've given me an especially good one. This one doesn't have the Fender logo on it because I couldn't get it again, but this is because I bought it. They asked me whether I wanted the Fender logo on it or not, and I was like, no. So it's not been sanded off or anything, it just never had a logo, which is great. I mean, if I'm being a wee bit sneaky, it does actually say Fender on the neck plate, but I mean, it's anyone's going to know it's not a Fender. But look at it's got binding on the front and on the back, and this mad sort of mahogany veneer or whatever it is. But the wood in the middle is like sort of yellowy coloured, which I thought was really cool. I've not seen that before. It's got like a pearly scratch plate, but it's not very pearly. It's quite subtle. And then neck humbucker. When I was buying these guitars, well, the first one, I had specific things that I wanted. I wanted something that looked a bit interesting that you couldn't really get here, like this. I wanted it to be through strung, like a Tele is. I wanted a bridge pickup that was a single coil in the bridge. That makes it a Tele. I wanted one with a metal plate on it, and I wanted one with a humbucker in the neck, and I needed one with a maple neck because I wasn't sure whether when I smuggled it home I was going to get hit with CITES or whatever for a rosewood neck, but I prefer maple necks anyway. So this is a very, very nice to play Telecaster. Only mods I did on is I put in push-pull pots, which, if I'm totally honest, I can't remember what it is they do. Right, this one here is phase between the two pickups. Yep, and this is not the way round. I should have done it actually, but so the tone control is a coil split for the neck pickup, and this one here is when you've got both. It's not a phase; it's a series switch. So this puts the two pickups into series, and this one is a coil split for the neck pickup. So you get 7 sounds instead of 3. But it's I quite like this because I like the neck pickup on this one's really fat, and the bridge pickup's really bright. So both at the same time as fat and bright. So this one is in almost mint condition. There's no dents on it, no fretware, no nothing like that. One thing that has happened, which I've noticed, is that see if you look at the tops of the tuners here, they look dark. For some reason the tops of the tuners seems to have gone dark coloured. I wonder if I've maybe brassled it or something and taken the gold colouring off. They still look brand new, but the top bit, it seems to have corroded just on the actual top of the metal shaft. Don't know. But, apart from that, pretty much new. Never really played very much by me. You've probably seen it. I've done a few videos of this going back over the years. If you look up my Chinese Telecaster things, this one would have featured prominently because it's really good. But my thinking is I'm going back to China again soon. So if I really, really, really wanted to buy this back, I could just buy another one. Assuming I would get a good one. That's what I'm saying about the thing about buying one from China, like from AliExpress or something like that, is you've got to wait for it, you've got to assume that it's going to get here, you've got to pay all the charges for it, and then what happens if the frets haven't been done and all these things, whereas this one, it plays lovely all the way up the neck, not warped, there's no faults. I actually had a George Harrison type one that I bought, and the bridge was in the wrong place, and it had to do if some of the frets were high, and it was a lot of work to get it working. I was really disappointed with that one. We got it working and it was great eventually, but I had to do work on it, whereas this one I didn't have to do anything, I don't think. Yeah, so that's the guitars I'm having to sell in order to buy a car. I'm not quite done yet though. I've also got a 1970s Marshall Artiste amp, which it looks absolutely smashed. It looks like the Eric Clapton amp, but it's not that model. It's an Artiste if you look it up. I've not done a demo for it. I mean, I got this service by Flynn Amps about a year and a half ago, and everything was fine. And what I noticed when I turned it on the other day, someone asked me if the reverb worked, and the reverb does work. But the thing is, when you've got the reverb off, everything's great. But when you turn it up, it's got like there's a bad hum behind it. And someone on the page has told me that oh, bad hub means it's going to explode, and it's like, so I don't know enough about amps. I'm scared of them. I did get a wee bit of a hint of, someone who's trying to get it cheap off the guy. So I don't really know how true that is. I'm sure that if there was something bad with it, Flare Amps would have picked it up. And someone else told me that the speakers in it aren't original, and don't turn it on, you might blow it up if they're the wrong speakers. And it's like, but I had it set, I'm sure Flynn would have noticed it. I've used it plenty of times and it never blew up, and the speakers have been in it since the 80s or something like that, so I don't know. So offers on this, it's stunning. I don't know enough about it I can't do what I do with guitars, where I can give you a guitar and I can tell you it's 100% brilliant because I know exactly everything about guitars. Amps, I've got a fear of getting electrocuted. Also, guitar wiring, even though I do quite complicated wiring, it's nothing like as complicated as what's inside an amp. Plus there's lethal voltages and stuff in there, so I'm going to sell this. I've had it for a few years now. I never really used it. It's not really... I had the Sovtech anyway, but the thing with the Sovtech, it's got a low input on it, which means that you could run it at, quiet volumes, whereas this one, it'll go quiet, but you're sitting there with the volume control and it's like, off, oh, it's quite loud, it's fucking loud as hell, man. It's like, because it's a 50 watt full-blown gigging rig, it's not really for sitting playing in the house. But if you want one of these, for the sound of it is absolutely fantastic. It doesn't really sound like a Marshall, it's a bit more Fendery. But it's good. But as I said, I've got the fear after someone told me that it would blow up because of that noise the reverb's making. I mean, that might be a load of shit, I don't know, but I don't see why the reverb would make the amp blow up. But especially you got it turned off, everything sounds fine, and it did get serviced, and I'm sure that if it was something really bad about it, it would have been noticed. Also, the reverb never used to do that. It used to work fine. So I wish I knew more about it. I feel a wee bit the way about amps I do with cars. I don't know enough about cars. Right, so that's an amp, which is too big to keep in here. I've got it sitting in the hall. And the last thing I'm selling is my Moog. Now this is a Moog MG1. I actually met the guy when I've got a Casio MIDI guitar, and I took it to a synth repair guy in Bridge of Weir, and he was talking about it, and it was like pure. And I mentioned the fact that I've got an MG1. So, an MG1 is the best one. He designed the 12 volts per octave oscillator for this range of synths, because he worked for Moog in the 70s, and when you went into Moog, the first thing you had to do was you were given a part to design, and he did the oscillators for these. He told me, this is coming from the guy who actually made it. They made these at the same time as they made the Rogue and the Prodigy, and basically it's the same as the Rogue and the Prodigy, apart from it's got more things than the Rogue does. Something to do with the wave shapes. There's a guy who does his channel's called Automatic Gainsay on YouTube. He does brilliant demos of it. I've never demoed these things because I can't really play the keyboards. I can make noises of it, but I can't do it intentionally. It's like quite a lot of things you do in a synth like this is, you turn something and there's no sound coming out. It's not broken, it's meant to do that, but because it's all synthesis, it's quite mad. So it's basically somewhere between it's basically a Prodigy, apart from it doesn't have the pitch bend and something else. It doesn't have the pitch bend, and it doesn't have, is it triangle wave? It doesn't have sine wave, something like that, but it's ultimately the same. There's also what the guy said his name was Jim McKenna. This is a Moog Liberation, which was it was basically this with an arm coming out that you wore around your neck, and it had like a slidey thing for pitch bend, but the actual synth bit of it was exactly the same as this. And they were made by Moog. Even said made by Moog on it. But they're also a bit cheaper than an actual Moog, because it doesn't. Although it says realistic synthesizer by Moog and it says made by Moog in the back, it's not actually a Moog. It's a realistic, Tandy. And there was a couple of things that Tandy, which was stupid, added requested they put onto it. It was basically just a Rogue with some extra bits. It needed to play chords, so it's a thing called polyphony, which basically gives you. It somehow splits up the oscillators to give you. It's all no, it's polyphonic, but it's every note. You can play every single note at the same time, and they all sound. You know, if you kind of slam down, that means you can play chords. I think it's just is it a square wave organ? It might be called. But you've still got some of the things still affected. The filter still works, and some of the other things still work. On that, it's got a Moog ladder filter, which is the same as what's in a Mini Moog. And according to Jim, basically, if you run this and you run the CV out, control voltage out, into a mini brute or a micro brute, and then run it back into this, it's basically a Mini Moog. So I mean, it seems a bit ridiculous because Mini Moogs are like $5,000 or $10,000 or something like that. So when you're thinking with this and a £150 Mini brute, apparently he's just like, no, that's basically you've got it. Circuit wise, it's exactly the same. It sounds fantastic. It really does. Every sound on it is just pop, pop. It's just Moog. It doesn't sound like any other synthesizer. Everything on it works amazingly, apart from the slider that's keyboard glide. It doesn't seem that bad. It's a wee bit stiff. And it's not quite as smooth as all the other ones. The keyboard glide it's like the only one of all these switches that you never really use. The other thing is with the tone sources, you can watch the Mark Doty video and it'll show you how to do it. I mean, the joy about having what makes this infinitely superior to the Mini Brute is the fact it's two oscillators, and see just having the two of them just slightly off instead of you get it just goes right into it, and you've got like I'm trying not to look at this. I don't want to sell it, but as soon as I sell enough stuff to buy myself a cutter, I'm not selling anymore. Just now, I've got guitars obviously that I do up and sell for fun, but this is my stuff I'm having to sell. And although I very rarely use them, Moog, what I always wanted to do was buy wooden end panels, because the end panels are just plastic. You can just make just carpentry, and a nice wooden end panels would make it look like a Prodigy, and it would look absolutely smashing. It's maybe not the most robust chassis on this, because it's a Tandy one. So if you built like a wooden ends on it, made it a bit solider, it'd be smashing. So I wouldn't want to post this though. I mean, I did buy it in the post 5 years ago, something like that. It was. I think that this is actually more expensive than any guitar I've ever bought. I think, or very nearly. If not, I think my Schecter P-Bass might have cost more than this, but that's it. Every other guitar costs less than this, and I really can't justify having it. But it's a Moog, and it's a real one, and if you're into this sort of thing, it's just analog loveliness. You don't get, all your modern ones don't do this. Half an hour. I'm sorry if it may be a bit depressing, but I mean, once I've sold some of these things, I'll be in a much better mood, and plus I get to go to China, so that'll be rocking. Rock and roll. I didn't hear that beep.